If the only reason we do research in this field is to just present it at conferences for professional development or accreditation or whatever, then we're losing out on the opportunities it gives us to really serve our community. This particular study in this 3-part series focused on the challenges that injured musicians face within their organizations, and especially highlighted the factors that affect their rehabilitation experiences. So it's basically like a day in the life of an injured musician. Other studies that I've read say that only 25% of the injured community in that particular study even seeks medical help before they crash and burn. In fact, the researchers in this study call that phenomenon conceal and crash. Conceal and crash is when a musician begins to feel discomfort and pain and can tell that something's obviously wrong, but they won't come forward and seek help until their pain turns into an injury and completely debilitates them from performing, until seeking help is an absolute critical necessity. Since surgeons and practitioners have a general lack of occupational knowledge surrounding musicians, the estimates on recovery time, when it was safe to play again, and the other time-bound factors seem to be skewed, and based on averages that had nothing to do with musician-specific skills. The reason why there's a burgeoning field of performing arts medicine at all is because, quote, standard medical professionals may see musicians' insistence on detail as neurotic. Investing in the well-being of your musicians and your workplace culture will lead to less injuries, which will lead to less expenses for the orchestras in hiring subs, insurance premiums, etc. It teaches us that there are strategic benefits for both musicians and the organizations that serve them. And this includes educational institutions too. The other motivation for implementing these things has to be because you're worth it. Because your musicians and your organization are worth it. Hey, welcome back to the show, everyone. Today is another one of those research and development episodes, and this is one that I've really been looking forward to recording because the study that I'm talking about today blew my mind. It was very, very informative and just basically confirmed everything that I had already believed, but with evidence-based research. One of the reasons why I like doing these episodes is that first off, they push me to be learning more and more about our field every single day. What some people don't know is that there's 30 years of research in this field, which in the grand scheme of things isn't a lot of time, but there's still a lot out there to be learning. Not only for these episodes am I looking at musician medical research, musician health research, stuff like that. But I'm also looking at sports psychology and workplace environment, culture, leadership development, all this type of things, because for me, all of those have factors that apply to a musician injury. The other reason why I like doing these types of episodes is that it helps eliminate a serious pet peeve that I have. And this is just me being perfectly candid for a second. In the last research and development episode, I talked about how there is a discrepancy between the amount of research done in this field in musician injury prevention, but also how the number of injuries in musicians has not gone down in most groups, in most study groups, and everything else. So my pet peeve is the fact that this incredible work that our researcher friends are doing, that they're pouring themselves into, is not getting applied. Like, what the heck? It's not getting to the people who need it. I'm just going to come out and say that if the only reason we do research in this field is to just present it at conferences for professional development or accreditation or whatever, then we're losing out on the opportunities it gives us to really serve our community. And here's the thing. This isn't on the researchers. It's on those of whom the research applies to, namely music educators and musicians themselves. Okay, rant's over. Let's get down into the nitty-gritty of this study. This 2014 study, conducted by Drs Drs Rickert, Ackermann and Barrett, was entitled Injury and the Orchestral Environment Part 3, The Role of Psychosocial Factors in the Experience of Musicians Undertaking Rehabilitation. Parts 1 and 2 I'm going to include in the show notes, just in case you have missed them on the weekly newsletters that I've been sending out. I hope you're all signing up for that. And much like the last study I highlighted in an episode, in this one, the researchers interviewed 3 orchestral cellists, as well as members of the management staff in those orchestras, all in Australia. Hey guys, I just want to interrupt the show real quick and just tell you about something I've been working on for a long time that I'm so excited to share with you. Like I've said in the past, you have the potential to make your injury become a benefit to you, an asset to you. But at the same time, I know the feeling of being lost, not knowing who to turn to, where to go, what resources to use, all sorts of things, and also how to reframe the situation, the mental skills that's needed to be able to do that. And so if you are one of those people looking for that resource, that help, that coaching, I want to tell you about something I've been working on, and that is Musician Unchained. Musician Unchained is now the newest coaching platform for musicians going through injury. It is intended to help you view your situation in a way that benefits you and make the changes in your life that you need to become the best version of yourself because of your injury. Your injury being the impetus for that change. I would love to be able to help you in any way that I can, even if that means sending you somewhere else to someone who can better help you. And so if you are interested in working together one-on-one, visit our website, musicianunchained.com/let's hang for more details. All right, let's get back to the show. This particular study in this 3-part series focused on the challenges that injured musicians face within their organizations, and especially highlighted the factors that affect their rehabilitation experiences. So it's basically like a day in the life of an injured musician. They even go into depth as to why seeking medical care from licensed practitioners can be extremely challenging. I found that particular finding to be actually pretty troubling, because when a musician is going to a medical practitioner for help, they have most likely needed to build up the courage to even get to seek that help, because most musicians are not wanting to seek help right away because of the shame, the guilt, all this stuff. In fact, other studies that I've read say that only 25% of the injured community in that particular study even seeks medical help before they crash and burn. In fact, the researchers in this study call that phenomenon conceal and crash. That being said, the researchers reported that the reason why there's a burgeoning field of performing arts medicine at all is because, quote, standard medical professionals may see musicians' insistence on detail as neurotic and their highly specific concerns as trivial. Now, why would anybody want to see a doctor or physio if that's how they're going to treat them? This, among other factors, is one of the reasons why the conceal and crash phenomenon exists. Conceal and crash is when a musician begins to feel discomfort and pain and can tell that something's obviously wrong, but they won't come forward and seek help until their pain turns into an injury and completely debilitates them from performing, until seeking help is an absolute critical necessity. Sound familiar? If this was your case, I want you to know that I'm not highlighting this issue to make you feel guilty or shameful. I am mentioning these things so that you feel seen, so that you recognize that this issue is much bigger than what you went through alone and needs to be rectified. It is not your fault, but it is your responsibility to educate yourself about why your injury happened and how you can recognize how those factors cropped up in your life or crop up in the present tense. Another psychosocial factor that they cite is a perceived lack of support from the management staff and fellow colleagues in the orchestras. This issue also plays a huge role in the prediction of rehabilitation failure or success. One unfortunate finding from the study is that the male interviewees felt well supported from fellow musicians and management staff, and this led the researchers to say, quote, "The role of gender is likely to be significant as recent research has shown that psychological factors have a greater degree of influence on female orchestral musicians compared with males." So even more the need for a cultural shift in our world, right? Going back to the issues surrounding recovery and rehabilitation with respect to medical practitioners, the interviewees cited the fact that since surgeons and practitioners have a general lack of occupational knowledge surrounding musicians, the estimates on recovery time, when it was safe to play again, and the other time-bound factors seemed to be skewed and based on averages that had nothing to do with musician-specific skills, or they were just basing the averages on the general public, not knowing that musicians really have to be on a different playing field because of the fine motor skills and movements that they do. This then led to problems accessing insurance through the orchestra because the doctors wouldn't recommend what was needed by the musician due to that skewed knowledge. So everything that we've talked about so far has taught us that there are so many reasons why a musician might hide the fact that they're injured from their colleagues. But what helped the musicians who were injured to recover from a psychosocial standpoint in this study? One interviewee said that taking up a new role in the orchestra helped them minimize the usual feeling of the loss of self-worth that comes with an identity-shattering injury. One interviewee realized that giving other colleagues who haven't experienced injury the benefit of the doubt, instead of expecting them to always know what's going on in their head, helped them to have more compassion for themselves and for their colleagues who hadn't gone through injury. On the management side of things, it is important to note that, as researchers in other industries have stated, quote, "Investments made in creating healthy organizational cultures lead to decreased running costs." The researchers also state, quote, "An important approach would be to ensure that injured orchestral musicians have access to psychological treatment as part of rehabilitation. Research has shown that psychological counseling can decrease rehabilitation times amongst workers, and this could look like traditional psychotherapy, and it could also look like getting coaching, like Musician Unchained. It's just whatever help you need. The point is, investing in the psychological aspect of recovery is essential to your physical recovery. Investing in the well-being of your musicians and your workplace culture will lead to less injuries, which will lead to less expenses for the orchestras in hiring subs, insurance premiums, etc. So what does this teach us? What does this study teach us, guys? It teaches us that there are strategic benefits for both musicians and the organizations that serve them. And this includes educational institutions too. Remember in the last research episode how one of the interviewees cited the possibility for litigious action due to negligence on the part of the schools? Yeah, let's just say it's in the best interest of all parties to invest in injury prevention and recovery, as well as culture and mindset development. We have to be developing the whole musician, guys. Hey guys, hope you're enjoying the show. I just wanted to jump in here real quick and tell you about something that I'm really, really excited about. For a while now, I have wanted to create an even more effective resource than just the podcast that injured musicians can go to receive the support that they need. And recently I did just that. So write this down. Trust the Process Podcast Injured Musician Support Group. I know it's a long title. We're still working on that part. But this is a place where people can go now, injured musicians and even musicians who have gone through injury in the past, and people that help musicians go through injury, where they can go to receive the support that they need, whether that be ask questions, share their victories, share their frustrations, and overall just receive the community and the support that they need in a very proactive, intentional way. And so I just ask that you guys support these injured musicians by sharing this group with them, that they can receive the support that they need. Okay, enjoy the rest of the show. Yeah, I kind of framed this one as a strategic benefit for the success of the orchestra in our performances and the overall morale of the group, which is all good. As I've said in the other episodes, the other motivation for implementing these things has to be because you're worth it, because your musicians and your organization are worth it. See, in our society, we're so commercialized. We are so consumer heavy influenced. I don't necessarily think that is all bad. And I'm not going to get political on this show. I just think that sometimes in our music culture, in our musician culture, we tend to focus on the product, where other organizations, other departments, other fields, when they focus on the development of the person, the development of the musician, the development of the group as a whole, that brings so many more benefits, so many more blessings, so many more returns on their investment. And then the musicians walk away being better versions of themselves. So if nothing else, implement these things for the strategic benefit that it will present to the outcome of your organizations, of your bands, of your orchestras, of your choirs. If that's all you got right now, that's fine. But I sincerely hope that you are realizing that the greatest motivation that you can have to implement these things, injury prevention, injury recovery, mindset development, leadership development, the whole kit and caboodle, is because every musician out there deserves to have that kind of an experience. Not because they've earned it, but because they're living a shared experience on this earth with us, and they deserve to have a life-changing experience through their craft. We have to be developing the whole musician, guys. And that's one of the aims of this show. So that's this study in a nutshell. I hope that you guys have found this informative and motivating, and let's just create change in our world. You know, I'm only a text away. There's the link in the show notes. If you want to work one-on-one through Musician Unchained, go ahead and click on the link in the description below as well and set up a strategy call with me. If you feel inclined, if you feel inspired to help support this show, that is also an option for you. And honestly, guys, if nothing else, just make sure you're signing up for the newsletter, because that's where you're going to be getting a lot more information as far as studies go, a lot more sneak peeks about the upcoming episodes. And also, you're going to be laughing because I'm sending stuff that makes me laugh. So hopefully that does the same for you. But I'm thinking about you guys. I hope these messages are reaching your heart and helping create change in you. For those of you going through injury, Just know, as you keep moving forward, you're going to keep learning more and more about yourself in beautiful ways. So keep on keeping on, guys, and keep trusting the process. Until next time. Hey, thanks for tuning into this episode of Trust the Process, the official podcast of Musician Unchained, the newest coaching program dedicated to helping musicians navigate and overcome injury. But before you go, I have a few quick ways you can stay connected and support our growing community. First of all, I'd love to hear from you. Shoot me a text with the link below and share your thoughts, questions, or just say hi. You can also check the show out on Instagram, Facebook, and TikTok. We also would love to see you in our Facebook support group, Trust the Process Podcast Injured Musician Support Group. If you found value in today's episode, consider making a donation to support our mission of empowering musicians worldwide. Every contribution helps us create more content and resources for you, so visit link number 2 below to support the mission. If you decide to donate, I'll send you my newest resource, the Injured Musician Toolkit, which is an ebook designed to give you tools to help you get through your injury. Subscribe to our newsletter to get exclusive insights, tips, sneak previews of episodes, and announcements straight to your inbox. Act now and I will send you a free gift. So sign up at www.musicianunchained.com/newsletter. And if you or someone you know would like to go deeper with me in the topics of injury and mindset, head over back to musicianunchained.com and check out the Let's Hang tab. As always, I want to thank Daniel Baldwin, my audio engineer, and my sister Dana Lovell for her help with the promotional materials. There is no podcast without them. But before I go, I want to tell you how much I deeply appreciate your time and support. You are not alone on this journey. There are musicians and educators out there who need this resource, and we need to get it to them. Together, we are breaking the chain of old habits and thought patterns that don't serve us anymore, and unchaining the potential within ourselves to face each challenge with strength and resilience. So, as I always say, keep on keeping on, and keep trusting the process. Until next time.